We're back with Carlos Flores, the trauma coordinator for Valley Children's Hospital and a representative of Safe Kids Central California, and talking kid safety, especially when it comes to school sports. So what's this all about?
Well, we're seeing sports injuries happen now with related to school teams, especially football. We just had our first admission just this week.
Yikes.
Yeah. So first thing is, we got 38 million kids in the United States playing sports. We want them to play sports. They got to be out there doing their thing. It provides confidence in themselves, physical education, good mental health, leadership skills, keeps them out of trouble. Yeah, that's right. So by all means, we want kids out there. As I mentioned to you just off the air, I have 4 sons and they all played sports themselves. So we're well adverse to as parents. We know that we want to have our kids out there. What is important though is that there are 5 concepts that we like to talk about. The importance of the pre-sports physical, dehydration, concussion, and overuse injury, and here in our region, asthma. Yeah, so we need to talk about those things. Pre-sports physical, it should really be conducted by the child's physician, child's pediatrician. That physician knows your child and knows your history, child's history. However, there are other means to get that pre-sports physical. But with your private physician, he or she can be adept at anything that may be happening with your child. So, for example, if he does have an underlying condition such as maybe juvenile diabetes or juvenile arthritis or asthma or any other previous injuries, we can put that into an emergency plan for your child so that the coach is aware of anything that might be happening that might occur with your child.
Right. Very good advice there, Carlos. And let's talk about hydration, especially here in the Central Valley.
Even during the cold weather time, kids are out there, like soccer season happens during cold weather time, so you know that kids are still running around. They're still getting dehydrated even though they may not feel like it. It's important that they monitor themselves. The way to monitor them is they got to look at their urine. They got to look at the pee.
Right.
If the urine is light colored, colorless, or like water or light like lemonade, then they're getting hydrated enough. If it starts turning darker like apple juice, well, we know that there's not enough hydration happening. They really have to hydrate. Rule of thumb is you need to hydrate prior to. So essentially 30 minutes prior to going to practice or going to a game, you need to start drinking some fluid, some water. Every 20 minutes during activity, you need to take at least 10 gulps of water. And then for an hour afterwards, need to keep rehydrating. So before, during, and after, hydration really needs to happen.
And is it true when you're thirsty, that's actually too late? You're already dehydrated.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, when you're starting to feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated, so you're behind the ball. So you got to stay active in that. And not to drink sodas, 'cause a lot of sodas have caffeine in them, and especially those things like Red Bull and Monster drinks. Kids really got to stay away from those high caffeinated drinks, water or sports drinks.
No Red Bulls, everybody.
Yeah, right.
Now let's talk about concussions. This is serious.
It is.
I know when I was in high school, we had a boy in football get a concussion, and it was really a close call.
When you were in high school, what was that, like last week or something? So anyway, yeah.
I wish.
So concussion, is a very serious thing. And it doesn't just happen with collision sports like football or hockey. It also happens with high contact sports like soccer. A lot of people don't think soccer and basketball are contact sports, but if you play them correctly, they are contact sports. So those things can happen. Concussion is crucially important that if a player, a child student, feels that they've gotten their bell rung, that it's really important that they tell their coach, because you don't want to have it compounded with a second concussion. So usually what happens is the jarring of the head. You can get jarred by the body and then have the head swing around and still have the brain concussed. Usually what is felt is a headache or a pressure. Sometimes there's nausea, sometimes there's vomiting that happens with that. There could be balance problems. There can also be confusion or a loss of consciousness. Now, it doesn't always happen with the loss of concussion doesn't have to have a loss of consciousness, and in fact most concussions occur without a loss of consciousness. You can also have memory loss, but one of the other things that a lot of people don't recognize is that the child can become really highly emotional. Where you have a big burly linebacker, for example, that maybe has gotten his bell rung, is off on the sideline, begins crying for no reason.
That's a sign.
Yeah, that's a sign that that a person is concussed. If that happens, the rule of thumb is to bring them out, get them out of play. When in doubt, sit them out. And they have to stay out until they have a medical evaluation to clear them back. And now there is a certain series of steps that have to happen. They're just not automatically cleared to go back to play.
My goodness. Moving on to overuse injury.
Yeah,
What's
overuse
this
injury.
about?
We're seeing a lot more of this. Kids are specializing in sports at a younger age, and they're playing them year-round without any rest in between. Going back to this soccer scenario, we have year-long leagues that happen. So kids constantly are playing soccer as they're growing, and unfortunately what happens is
you never get a break.
Yeah, you don't get a break. You don't give your body a break. The rule of thumb with regards to overuse injury, or the prevention of it, is to take the 3 to 4 months off of that particular sport. Now, it's okay to go into another sport and cross-train, but getting away from that same use of muscles and joints and ligaments. We're seeing overstress fractures, for example, many strains and sprains, and we're seeing some fractures and dislocations occurring as a result of overuse injury. So it's really, really important that we watch the amount of time that the kids spend on the field.
Great advice. Let your body be able to rest and recover.
Yeah, that's right.
And then let's talk about asthma.
Asthma is a problem here in our region.
No
We know that we
kidding.
have bad air quality here oftentimes. Fortunately, this year it's a little bit better, but even myself, I have suffered with asthma as a child. That pre-sports physical comes into play here. Now, you go back to your pediatrician, your doctor already knows that the child has asthma and knows what to do to prevent or stave off any kind of flare-ups. So one of the questions to ask your doctor is not only the rescue inhalers, which usually is albuterol, but also the long-term medications that can be used for your child. In addition to that, ask your physician if it's okay to go ahead and take a couple of puffs of albuterol before working out, that way to stave off any exercise-induced asthma. Pay attention to the air quality and also to the weather conditions. During the cooler weather and when we get fog setting in, sometimes getting out in the playing field and working out creates an exacerbation or worsening of the asthma condition. If the child does start having difficulty with their breathing while they're on field, same thing with the concussion. If you recognize that symptoms are happening, tell your coach so you can get off the field. It's very, very important that that happen. Unfortunately, we do have some very bad situations that have happened, to the point of death, where the symptoms were ignored, and then it got out of hand, and the child unfortunately passed away.
No sport is worth a life, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But we want our kids to have fun and be out there and be safe. But just take all of this into consideration.
That's right.
And Carlos, before we go, talk real fast about the Concussion Symposium.
Yeah, we're members of the Central Valley Concussion Consortium, which is a group that's led by Brenna Hughes out at Community Regional Medical Center. Valley Children's Hospital is involved with that consortium, as is Safe Kids Central California, and the Center for Neuro Center for Neurocentral Skills in Bakersfield is also involved with it. We have a concussion consortium coming up on Saturday, October 17th, and this is from the 8 to 4. It's designed for the layperson, where people can come out, either coaches, parents, student athletes, athletic directors, come out and learn about concussion and concussion management. We also have a slew of medical professionals that will be out there giving advice and providing education on that very topic.
Great advice. Go check out the symposium, and thank you, Carlos, for all your tips. Just wonderful advice.
Oh, thank you. The concussion is free of charge.
Yes, free of charge,
but you got to pre-register.
Okay, please go and do that. And still to come on Central Valley today, our Valley Delicious segments, we are highlighting yet another Valley vegetable. Plus, we're in the kitchen with today's recipe. But first, a look back at Fresno in the post-war era. We get a glimpse into the fun pop culture history of the city thanks to a new book by a local author. The title, Fresno Growing Up. That's next.